PAIR, Friends of the Children, Bodecker Foundation. Next up, as well as 350 PDX, Friends of Noise, and City Repair Project. I'm Kaylee Miner. I'll be your host for this night segment, and I would like to introduce our artist, Belize Nishimwe. So Belize is a senior at St. Mary's Academy in Portland, Oregon, and she's extremely passionate about social justice, international relations, and law, especially as it pertains to immigrants and their rights. Nishimwe was born and lived in a refugee camp in Tanzania until the age of 5, when she and her family moved to America through Catholic Charities. Now a U.S. citizen, she has decided herself to be someone who can create a platform that gives a voice to immigrants and refugees and the representation they need. She serves now as president for a youth-led nonprofit called Youth Ending Slavery. As well as these activities, she enjoys writing poetry and exploring other artistic venues. She was the 2019 Poetry Out Loud State Champion and received the 2019 Pamplin Media Group Amazing Kids Award. In the near and far future, she dreams of interning for a law firm or a political office, and she plans on strengthening her abilities as a leader and an activist, so she can be a person who defends and speaks for those who are told that they can't. Her pronouns are she, her, and she will be showcasing her poetry today. So we're going to start with a small interview segment. So my first question for you, Belize, is how has your identity shaped your focus in programs like Youth Ending Slavery?
My identity as a Black woman, especially as a refugee immigrant, has shaped the way that I view the world. So, a lot of the activities that I do, I want to always center marginalized voices. So, even within my poetry, I always try to find a way to connect it to some aspect of myself that is often oppressed within society to make sure that that part of me is recognized and heard. Um, and I often, through my, own life and through my poetry, I try to make sure that I kind of channel other people's experiences and build that empathy within myself. Knowing what it's like to grow up, struggling, I always want to be empathetic. And through my poetry and taking on different stories and writing through different people's perspectives, I'm able to be empathetic for uh, other people's situations. So that's kind of helped me really be understanding of, different aspects.
Great. And what is the main driver in writing your poetry?
I actually started it after my Poetry Out Loud competition. I had written some before when I was little, but it was more like just for fun to try it out. But after the Poetry Out Loud competition, I really thought, poetry is very impactful. And I hadn't had that kind of realization before. And once I did realize how impactful poetry is, how impactful the arts are, especially during this pandemic, we're seeing how important the arts are within youth and within like the world. And so for me, I saw that impact and I wanted to channel it towards different aspects that I cared about. And it just became another venue for me to really be an activist in the areas that I was previously an activist for. And it was just another way to do that.
Um, and lastly, where can we find your material online?
Yeah. So currently I myself don't have like a website that's formal that has all my work, but you can follow me on Instagram at DragonV1. And sometimes I post some poetry. I'm trying to open up more with my poems. And so I'm going to try to post as many poems as I can that flow from the top of my head. So, yeah.
Well, I'm really excited to hear some of it. So without further ado, would you like to share your poetry with us?
Yes, thank you. So, this is actually a poem I created for my creative writing class. And I thought it's something that I wouldn't mind sharing. Yeah. How to Reverse Time 101. On winter's eve, a young woman approaches a man with a magic clock, fastened to the side of his sky blue coat. The clock is a milky white, invisible alongside the chilly snow and striking against the sun's ray. Reaching into her pockets, she takes out her salary for the month, putting it into the man's calloused hands. With a wide-toothed grin, the man drops the clock into her hand, and with a bow, he vanishes. As 8 o'clock strikes, the big hand pauses, as though to take a deep breath, and then it reverses, and so does she. 8 again, not yet aware of the world, nor how fast time passes, but this time she is ready. As her hair swings above the fresh spring grass, beneath the crystal clouds, she is back where she is meant to be.
That was beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
So now we can move into our second interview aspect if there are no more poems, with some more questions. So my first one is going to be, what's your favorite aspect of working with youth, for youth around the world?
My favorite aspect of working with youth is really that kind of relation that you build with them, and also the fact that you have a community that is alike with you. So you're able to share your experiences and grow with one another, and you're able to kind of elevate one another at the same time. And it's such a supportive community when you're a youth and you're working with other youth because they all understand you. They're all most likely dealing with similar things, and so I think the best aspect is always seeing the ways that just something like a story that you share with someone has an impact on them, or how someone else's story has an impact on you. So I always find that kind of community elevation kind of really important and really moving within like working with youth.
For sure. Um, for you personally, how would you describe youth intersectionality?
I see youth intersectionality being youth elevating one another in the different ways that they are different. So that means that I use privileges to elevate someone else without those privileges, or, we're constantly having that community aspect where, we're sharing the things that we don't have or someone else may need more. And so for youth, that means that we are using the aspects of ourselves that someone else, another youth may not have. And we're constantly putting all those, resources together to elevate one another. And I think that's kind of youth intersectionality, is that kind of conjoining of everything that we can relate on and everything that is different about us, and utilizing each other's strengths to elevate each other.
Definitely. And building off of that, how does youth intersectionality shape and affect your art and your poetry?
Yeah, so for me, that often is, you know, within my poems, I talk about different aspects of my identity. And so sometimes I talk about being African American and my relation with other youth who are African American, or who identify as African American, who were born here. I was born in Africa, so I'm African, but I've lived in the US. So sometimes speaking with other African American people is, or youth, is kind of different, and talking about those experiences with them is really interesting, and I try to incorporate all those nuances within my poems. So like I talk about, you know, intersectionality in regards to being an African woman, or being a black woman, with like these different cultural aspects that are, you know, that aren't just sort of, they're just different. And I think everyone's kind of stories is different. So I use my kind of um intersectionality experiences, or different parts of my identity, to really put that into my poems. Um, and so I kind of just do that. So, yeah,
It really comes through, like I can tell.
thank
Um,
you.
I know 2020 has been a crazy year and has shown a lot of change for all of us. So is there like a specific thing or a specific aspect of 2020 that has changed or shaped your artistry, or your outlooks on activism, or anything in that realm?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like previously I mentioned like how the pandemic is really important for artists. I think as an artist, it's so hard to like, see how you writing something can impact someone's life. And what I've been seeing with the many like different ways that artists are using their platforms to really speak on issues and really just provide a safe space for joy within this pandemic has really been interesting. So it's really changed my perspective on the importance of the arts. Because before I did it for fun, I did it really because, you know, it's good to participate in the arts, but I never thought of it as such a um like important part of our society. And I think that is being highlighted within this pandemic, the need for spaces of joy. And oftentimes, those spaces of joy are within art communities.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much for being here. Your words were truly beautiful. Coming up next, we have Hobbs the artist who will be dancing for us. Um, and once again, my name is Kaylee Miner. And come back in 10 minutes to watch the rest of this segment of Speak Up, Sing Out. And once again, thank you, Belize, so much. I'm so grateful that you came on.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, and I would like to thank our sponsors, which are 350 PDX, Friends of Noise, and City Repair Project, as well as our community partners who are Pocketbook, Pair, Friends of the Children, Morpheus Youth Project, Bodecker Foundation, and Next Up.
Hey.
Hi, welcome back.
Thank
Um, so this is our second part of the second night of our Speak Up Sing Up event, where we'll be featuring musicians, panel speakers, virtual artists, all from local Portland youth. So make sure to check out our program schedule on our website, which is youthpowerpdx.org, and as well as our sponsors, who are 350 PDX, Friends of Noise, and the City Repair Project, as well as our community partners, who are Pocketbook, Pair, Morpheus Youth Project, Friends of the Children, Bodecker Foundation, and Next Up. So now I am Kaylee Miner, once again, your host for this evening. And right now we are talking with Hobbs the artist, who is a really, really cool person. Hobbs Waters is a 14-year-old artist, dancer, and musician from Portland, Oregon. And he is the founder of City Troll, an urban lifestyle line where he sells his apparel to financially elevate himself and to pursue his aspirations of becoming a professional ballet dancer. Right now, he dances in town at Steps PDX, and he's a recreational musician at Ethos Music Center. In addition, he is a visual artist who's shown in large art institutions in the greater Portland metropolitan area and has done 5 murals. And he mainly focuses on abstract, but is currently doing more realism. So it's great to have you, Hobbs.
It's great to be back. Thank you so much.
I love what you did the first night. That was incredible. So I'm so glad that you are back. Do you mind if we start with a small interview section?
No, I'm glad to jump in.
Okay, sounds great. So my first question is, how has art and activism intersected together for you as of late?
Well, I would say that activism is represented throughout all of my work, and that is like a central value that I have as an artist. For one, I mean, even if it's in the most simple ways, right? I'm a dancer, but I am a African diaspora dancer who is in this, very predominantly white space. And so I'm kind of representing my community, as well as I hope to pave the way for the next generation of young Black boys as ballet dancers. And this also transpires to my other works. All of my paintings, and even really my illustrations, I strive to have some kind of political topic, or say something about an issue that's really important to me. So really activism shows throughout all my art.
Definitely. My second is, how would you describe youth intersectionality?
Oh, see, this is an interesting one. And I'm really curious to see what other people say. But for me, when I think of youth intersectional power, I think of like youth coming together as a collective, and making positive social change, making positive social reform. And that's really what I think of. I think about community. I think about just being surrounded by people with the same mindset, the same worldview, or young people, I should say, who are trying to do the same thing. And I also think of diversity. So we could all be striving for the same thing, but um, doing it through different ways. And also, when I think of youth intersectional power, I don't always think of activism. I just think of, us just coming together and celebrating or having a great time.
That's beautiful. I know it's such a crazy question with so many different possibilities and answers. So that's just great. Building off of that, how does youth intersectionality shape the way that you approach the world?
How does it shape the way I approach the world? That's a good question. I would say that I am very youth-minded when it comes to my work, because, like I said, piggybacking off of what I said earlier about paving the way for the next generation of youth in ballet, or just even paving the way for the next Hobbes in the world, right? Um, People look at me as this really exceptional person, which is great, and I thank them for that. But I've heard this before. I'm not the only Hobbes out there, and I would really like to empower all the other Hobbes in the world who might not have the same resources, because that's really what I have. I have all these resources um, to show them really that they can do exactly what I'm doing. Yeah, that's how I approach the world, thinking about youth.
That's great. Um, so that's our first segment of our interview. So if you want to go ahead and dance, I'd love to see it, and then we can get on to our second part.
Yeah, and I'm definitely gonna try something new today. Yesterday I was improvising, which is I don't know why I was improvising. Like, I don't like to improv very much. So today, and I promised this yesterday. The floors are really slippery, so I'm sorry. I'm gonna be doing a lot more ballet,
Okay, I'm so excited to see it.
just so you can see me. Perfect. And I'm also gonna be doing something different from last time. I'm gonna be dancing, but it's gonna be like I'm in rehearsal. So I might do some movements again. You're gonna see my mistakes definitely, but it's gonna be a lot more authentic and a lot more real, and I'm gonna have a lot more fun. So let's get into it. Silencers, and I'm gonna keep going. A little bit of what I do, like me really being in the studio. This for me, this is my happy place. This is really, really when I'm in my element. And you know, when I feel liberated, and I'm excited to share with all of you, even if you see my mistakes. That's okay. That's a part of the process. I'm definitely getting tired, but I'm gonna push through and do some more stuff. You ready? Yes. Wow.
That was incredible. I was obsessed with their leaps and turns. I thought they were beautiful. And I'm so glad you came on and did that because that was truly a blessing to be able to see you dance. I know how exhausting that must be, dancing for almost 10 minutes straight. So proud of you. I know, and having boys dancing and Black boys dancing, especially in ballet, is just so crucial in the world that we have and in the world of dance. And I'm just so glad that you're doing it because that's really, really great. And seeing how at home you are in the studio. And I know for dancers, it's really just like a place to go and a place to be where you do belong and you can just be with the music and be with yourself and your own body and dance. And I think that's just so beautiful. So thank you so, so much. I'll give you a moment to catch your breath because I know that must have been brutal. But yeah, once again, thank you for coming. And to everyone watching, Hobbs also has a clothing line, and it's really, really cool. It is named City Troll, and you should totally go check it out at citytroll.com. Has some really cool stuff. They have really, really cool urban streetwear and things like that. So yeah. Hobbs, are you ready to answer some questions? Do you think you're good?
Definitely. Let's go.
Awesome. So we'll get into our second part of the interview. So my first question is going to be, how has 2020, if at all, changed the way you view activism in art?
Honestly, I feel like 2020, we're gonna come and attack me. It's been one of the best years for me. When I've had so many opportunities, I got invited, like in the beginning of the year, I was invited to go to a dance residency, a trifecta actually, with the Tabanka Dance Ensemble, Norwegian National Ballet, and Oslo Dance Ensemble for the summer. So it was really exciting, and I had, so many goals. And then the pandemic happened, which is like a serious disappointment. And then on top of that, there was this, the biggest global uprising that we've seen in the world, it's in its entirety of history. But then after a while, we're seeing all this reform. We're seeing a lot of people become less complacent. And honestly, I feel like it's something that's needed to happen. For me, I don't think it necessarily changed the way I see the world. I mean, actually, that's not true. In some aspects, it did, because I've learned a lot from my community members. I've met new community members, been able to hear new perspectives, so that's been great. But also, I'm just excited to see what we can do as a collective and to this reform. And I know that was like a tangent, so I'm sorry. But no, I feel like it has been a pretty good year. And just activism.
That's totally understandable. And just having all this time and all the things that go around in this world, personally, it's very easy to be able to find yourself more and find more opportunities with all the time you have. So it's totally understandable. My second question is, how does dance make you feel?
Ooh, you know, I was, I kind of said this earlier. Dance is definitely, where and when I feel liberated, or at least when I'm dancing, I feel liberated. It is my happy place. It's truly when I get to be myself. Um, right. My two favorite colors are um, orange and pink. One, because I attribute orange with tigers, and they're my favorite animal, hence the name Hobbs. Um, which kind of is like my resiliency, my masculinity. Like when I think of tigers, I think of strength, resiliency, perseverance, all these things. But then pink, I also think of like my femininity and my fun side and like all these things. So like when I'm dancing, I those two sides of me, those two aspects of my personality get to come out. Um, and it's just a really great experience. Even when it's not my best day. Like recently, when I've been dancing, I've noticed that my technique isn't what I think it can be or what it has been. Um, I still get that sense of joy because it's truly what I love and it's truly my passion. Um, so yeah, I love dancing. I couldn't live life without it.
That's great. That's incredible. Um, Another question. So, what inspired your clothing line, City Troll?
Well, I have this really artistic lifeline, not lifeline. I have this really artistic lifestyle, and really dance is the central part of it. And so a couple years back, I think 4 years back, yeah, I was 10, and no, 5 years back actually, I was 9. Um, I was getting ready to attend this dance summer intensive, which was local, in town. And I was trying to find ways, a means of making money and I needed about $2,000. So a family friend, I've been talking to people about this and like asking people to sponsor me, and a family friend told me, you do art and this art is great. You should start selling it. And that's kind of where City Troll came from. But it wasn't until a year later of selling the art, um, which eventually came into printing on T-shirts and other textiles, that I decided to make this brand City Troll. And then further into it has been a learning process, especially the business aspect. Um, right? I didn't go to any kind of school for that. So it all has been a learning process. But it, as I've grown, City Troll has grown as well, and it's becoming so much more than it originally was. So much more than just a means of funding my dance. Now I feel like it's itself. It's morphed into itself, and it is there to provide a voice for others and to make a statement. So that's kind of where City Troll is or came from, and that's a little bit about where City Troll is going.
Love it. This one's a more broad, fun question. This is gonna be my last one. Um, but if you had the perfect world in any pick, where would you see your future as an artistic person and like career wise, lifestyle wise? Where would you land?
Where would I land? That's a good question. Honestly, this is also just a really hard question, just because this the answer for me is like X. It's always changing, or not always changing, but I never can really know the answer, right? And I'm trying to solve, which is the fun part. And I'm trying to find out, where am I going to land, or how do I want to prepare to find X. But as of right now, I would love to be a principal dancer with some ballet company. I would love to just be able to produce my art, um, and have it sell and have because for me, that is a success metric, because that means people are really enjoying my art. They love it, and they want to bring that into their home. They want to bring that into their space. Um, and I want to be able to share my work with a lot of people, right, on a worldwide scale. I want my lifestyle line to go far, but that may be in the future, as my lifestyle is changing, that my lifestyle line turns into something else that's more cohesive to, right, my lifestyle. So if I'm traveling, screen printing t-shirts might not be the most easy option. So it might turn into something else. But where I see myself, or want to see myself, I just want to grow, just continue to grow. Even if I'm where I think I should be, or have met this uncertain goal, I just want to continue growing from there.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. It was a pleasure to see you dance.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so next up, we have Sasori02. Once again, my name is Kaylee Miner, and we will be back at 10 o'clock for our next slot. Thank you again, Hob, so much. It's been great.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the very last segment of our second day of our fall series of Speak Up, Sing Out with Youth Power PDX. We are featuring musicians, panel speakers, and visual artists all week from local Portland youth. So make sure to check out our schedule at youthpowerpdx.org. And I'd like to take a moment to thank our sponsors, which is 350 PDX, Friends of Noise, and the City Repair Project, as well as our community partners, which is Pocketbook, Pair, Morpheus Youth Project, Friends of the Children, Bodecker Foundation, and Next Up. I'm Kaylee Miner. I'll be your host for the rest of the night, and I'd like to welcome Sasori02, who is our next artist tonight on Speak Up, Sing Out. So their names are Eddie Anyar or Outro Shani Yuo, but their music name is Sasori02, and they use sounds that make them feel specific emotions, shapes, or colors. They enjoy making music that doesn't sound like it's from our timeline. Sasori02 is a combination of different genres that they either grew up with or have recently begun to enjoy. They have been described as Portland Drain and hyperpop, but they don't try to replicate these genres, only are inspired by them. They would describe their music as different styles under one name, which I think is really, really cool. So please welcome Sasori02.
Hi.
So it's so nice to have you.
Good. It's nice to be on it.
So do you mind if we start with a quick interview before we get to your music?
Yeah, I don't mind at all.
Okay, great. So my first question is, what does music mean to you?
Music is all about expression to me, and it's I don't think it's about sounding good, and to me it means I don't know how to describe what I mean. It means freely expressing yourself. That's what it means.
I love that. And my second question, so how does music make you feel?
Music makes me feel any type of emotion the creator intended for it to feel, or whatever type of emotion the creator put into it.
I love that. So what would you describe as use intersectionality? Like, how would you define it?
The way I would define it is, in its most simple form, one thing that is also another thing. That's generally how I see it.
Okay, awesome. So that's the first half of our interview. So we can get to your music if you would like, and then afterwards I have a few more questions for you.
Great, sounds good. I'm gonna set it over here. I have a little setup.
Keep talking, I'ma just keep snoring. I'll still wake up in the morning. I used to trust you with my life, but if it was up to you, I'd be taking the knife. You're a capitalist, your love comes with a price. But I'm so fucking dumb on your head like some lights. Yeah. I stay in line. Do you wanna know how I feel so? I think I'm gonna shut this, let this man. Do you know something I don't know?
I'm not alone. Cause you bad shit. I it's beat. Yeah, I'm going fucking bad shit. I'm going with all this shit. Yeah, I think I fucking had it. I hate this shit. And I know that I'm a bad bitch. So feel about my clip. Yeah, I'm a fucking high. Yeah, I cut all the streets and I burn. Turn us to a
All right. Hello.
Hi, thank you so much for that. That was really cool. I loved everything that was happening.
I appreciate that.
So I have some wrap-up questions after that amazing performance. Do you mind if we get into those?
Yeah, I'm down.
Okay, so what is something that has brought you joy and beauty in 2020?
A whole lot of music and staying busy and my friends. Yeah.
And how does your identity shape the way you see and approach the world?
My identity makes me want to see a lot of people as my enemies and wants me to feel like an other. But the reality is I have to make a reality for myself that I want to live in and surround myself with people who are not my enemies.
I like that.
Thanks.
And one last question. Any song recommendations?
Ooh. I've been listening to Foe by Chief Keef like all day. Yeah. That's probably my favorite song right now.
Love it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on. It was great to have you. I loved your music.
Thank you.
This was Sasori02, and you can find them at Sasori 670 on Instagram. So make sure to check them out and follow them. Again, I'm Carrie Miner, and this is going to be the end of our second night of Speak Up, Sing Out. But if you come back tomorrow at 3 o'clock, you will be able to see Maya Music, a Morpheus Youth Project panel, which is going to be incredible, Aaliyah Falls, and Miles Sauciato. So I hope that you all join us again. And one more shout out to our community partners, Pocketbook, Morpheus Youth Project, PAIR, Friends of the Children, Bodecker Foundation, Next Up, as well as our sponsors, 350 PDX, Friends of Noise, and the City Repair Project. So we thank them and we thank you for joining us. And yeah, this has been a great night, and I'm so grateful for all of you who joined and tuned in and all of our performers. And we hope to see you again, because this doesn't end here. We're still going strong for a few more days. So we hope you tune in again. And yeah, speak up, sing out. Thank you all.